Tipping is a tumultuous subject when it comes to cruising.
Do you tip? Don't you tip? Just the tip?
Learn all about proper cruising tipping etiquette today on This Happy Place. Hi friends, and welcome to This Happy Place.
We are slightly better than novice cruisers, I like to think.
If you're new here, I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jake.
And as Jake said, we have some knowledge about cruising, some.
Part of the reason that we feel we can get so much out of our cruising experience is because we understand the very sensitive, very disagreement-inducing topic of tipping on cruise lines.
And we understand it and what we're comfortable with. And for this video, I did do some research about tipping on different cruise lines and what is expected and what people think of it in general.
What's standard, what's expected, and what can you reasonably make happen on your cruise in terms of tipping? We have a lot of cruising videos out there and we're gonna have a lot more coming. So before we go any further, make sure you're subscribed. Let us know your questions about cruising down below. Maybe you'll see some videos about it in the future.
This topic was actually a suggestion by one of you, so thank you so much. We're glad to finally be getting to it. So if you have any ideas of things you want to hear about, we might make a video about it in the future, and that's awesome.
That is pretty awesome. You're all awesome.
You're great.
You specifically.
Yeah. But I think we're just going to kind of jump right in and get started. Let's figure out, why is tipping on cruise ships so confusing?
First of all, the policy on tipping differs from one cruise line to the next. Second of all, it's not exactly mandatory, but to a lot of the crew members on board these ships, getting tips is more than just a bonus to their pay.
So most of the major cruise lines pay a very, very low base wage, which means that the gratuities are very important to the livelihood of the crew members. It is where they make their money. And it doesn't really matter if you agree with tipping policies or not. If you are going on a cruise, you should be tipping. It is part of the culture of cruising, and if you are paying for the cruise, you should be paying for the tips too.
Note that some of the more boutique cruise lines have a no tipping policy specifically. Now you're going to pay more to be on those cruise lines a lot of the time, but for the most part, we're going to be talking about the big cruise lines that everybody's familiar with. Carnival, Royal Caribbean, things like that.
So most of the main cruise lines have a prepay or add-on gratuity policy. This means that you will see a certain amount of money depending on the length of your cruise and the number of people in your stateroom. You'll see an amount added to your bill when you are buying the cruise. Or if that is not the case, you are going to see it on your onboard account at the end of the cruise. And the reason they do this is to offset the different cultures of international customers coming onto a cruise ship. Tipping is a pretty American thing, and this makes sure that the crew members that are in tipped positions are going to get something no matter where the customer base is from. So we are going to focus on the four what I would consider main cruise lines. You can fight me in the comments that there are others, but these are the ones that we're most likely going to cruise on or have cruised on in the past, and probably the ones we get the most questions about. So let's take a look at what the gratuity policy is for those four.
We're going to start with Norwegian Cruise Line. Typically, your daily gratuity charge is going to be $20 to $25 per person per night. You cannot opt out of this.
Yeah, it is required with Norwegian. Next is Royal Caribbean. They're going to be between $18 and $25 per person per night, depending on your room category.
Then you have Carnival, which is in the $16 to $18 per night range, depending on room category.
And lastly, there is Disney Cruise Line, which is surprisingly the lowest, with $14.50 to $15.50 per person per night, depending on the room category.
So, in short, gratuities shouldn't really be considered optional. They should really be thought of as just a required service fee. It's completely up to you how you tip beyond that, but know that the crew members aboard the ship in tipped positions are some of the hardest working people I think I've ever met. And they do it with a smile, they do it with joy. In general, they're making your experience the best it can possibly be. So, know that if you choose to tip them, you will likely get service that reflects that. If you choose not to tip them, you will likely get service that reflects that.
So, where do these tips go? Again, this is going to differ by cruise line, but in general, the prepaid gratuities or the onboard added gratuities are going to go to your servers, and this is also going to go to your stateroom steward, stewardess, or host. And those are some of the hardest working people I've ever seen, and they deserve every penny of it.
Let's talk about some of the additional service charges, which you can think of as a tip. You're probably used to this if you go to a restaurant with a big party. They add an automatic gratuity of 18%. And cruise ships do something very similar for some of their more specialty services. You'll see this at bars, for spa treatments, wine sommeliers, other things that fall into that same extra pay category. They're going to add a basic gratuity onto your bill.
If you are buying dining packages or drink packages, the gratuity is added on to those too, so you don't have to worry about tipping extra if you don't want to. You have technically already tipped by buying those packages.
Though, let me tell you, if you put an extra $1 or $2 in there every time you order a drink, those servers are going to learn you by name, and they're going to find you everywhere you go. They're going to bring you your favorite drink at the time that you want it.
It's impressive.
It is an incredible experience.
So what are some of the things that you might be wanting to bring either cash or consider adding an extra gratuity onto? So that would be part of your budgeting for the cruise line. Let's go over those things. The first one is your servers. Yes, you have already prepaid your gratuity to them, but if you think about the small amount of money that is per person per day, and they could potentially be feeding you breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it is multi-course meals, they usually deserve a little bit of extra money. So you might want to bring between $10 to $50 to give them on your last day, just as a little bonus, because again, they're just wonderful. This also goes for those dining packages. Though you have prepaid gratuity, again, the service is phenomenal. We generally tip a little bit more after those meals. And know that if you are sailing on Disney, the meals at Remy, Palo, Enchanté, there is no gratuity added. So you are going to want to tip on top of those meals. Also, as you said, your room hosts, they are getting those prepaid gratuities, but they are working so hard. They're in your rooms twice a day, cleaning it up and then turning it down at night, making you towel animals, leaving little surprises for you. So it is usually encouraged for you to leave $2 to $3 per person per night at the end of your cruise for your stateroom host. We generally leave a lot more because we know how hard they work and because the cleaning profession is a little bit closer to our hearts.
Other services you might want to consider tipping a little bit extra for are room service. Those people aren't necessarily the ones who would normally be bringing you food or serving you at a restaurant, things like that, especially dependent on the time of day that you're ordering room service. Yeah. So consider leaving them a few dollars when they bring you your food. Going along with the idea of food, yes, your servers, the wait staff, things like that get part of the daily gratuity that you prepay or pay at the end of your cruise, but so do the head wait staff, the maitre d' of the restaurant. That's broken up between them too. If they're giving you exemplary service, they're bringing you extra desserts at the end, little customized treats and things like that. If you ask for a particular upgrade, let's say, oh, we want to have a romantic night, any way we can sit by the window, and they accommodate you like that, make a little room in your pocket for them.
And then there are the positions that are not getting any of those prepaid gratuities that are probably going to deserve a little bit of extra. That's going to be the porters. Those are the people that are taking your bags when you are getting out of your car and checking in for your cruise. You can give them $1 or $2 per bag. We'll give a little bit more if they're a little extra heavy. If you're going on any shore excursions, definitely carry some cash for your guides or your drivers. That's gonna be between $5 to $20 depending on the length of the excursion and the extent of it. I know when we did our helicopter excursion, we like tipped them really well because we survived.
That was important.
The other two positions that you may want to consider tipping are the kids club counselors. They are more well compensated with their salary, but if you know your kid absolutely adores them, they're probably going to deserve a little bit of an extra tip too. And also your casino dealers, you know, if you're on a winning streak, consider sliding them a little bit of your winnings, but that's of course up to your discretion.
So all that being said, if you do want to tip a little bit extra, do it on the last full day of your cruise. Yeah. Don't wait until the morning of disembarkation for two reasons. One, you probably won't be able to find your stateroom host. They're going to be off already prepping things to accept the next crowd of people. And the other reason is because if you do have to go to the customer service desk to settle anything, if you deposit any cash with them that you want to get out for extra tipping,
the line's long.
The line's going to be longer on that day than pretty much any other day.
So long. And no, never ever tip officers or the captain. They are compensated very, very well, and it's actually considered very like demeaning and rude to give them a tip. So don't do that.
So yes, tipping is generally a Western, more American culture type thing.
Yeah.
But remember, when you're cruising, you're a part of the cruise culture, no matter where you come from. And every person on that ship who is in a tipped position will appreciate anything that you can give. At a minimum, the base gratuities that you either prepay or you pay at the end.
Yeah.
But certainly anything that you feel comfortable giving on top of that will be appreciated, and you will likely receive an increased level of service because of it to show their appreciation.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Don't make it complicated.
No.
Do what you're comfortable with, do what you know you can manage, and it will be appreciated.
And if all you can manage are those base gratuities, there are other ways to give attention to the excellent crew members that deserve it. And that is as simple as remembering their names and their position and going to guest services. And a lot of the cruise ships actually have little cards that you can fill out that say, this person was wonderful. They made my cruise fantastic. They went above and beyond, and those cards will go to those crew members. It'll be put in their files, and that can get them bonuses. It can get them extra time off.
You get them better contracts.
It's just something really, really simple you can do for these absolutely wonderful crew members.
At the end of the day, the best currency is kindness. Tipping's great, but treat the people on the ship as you would want to be treated, and they will do the same for you.
That was so nice.
So nice.
That was so
We're
nice.
so nice.
Well, there you have it. Go ahead down in the comments. Tell us how we're wrong.
I can't wait to hear everything you have to say about how incorrect we are.
But we hope this has helped you if you've had any confusion around tipping on a cruise ship. Remember, I did research for this, so this isn't just us.
We're basically doctors. Till we see you again.
Stay magical. Bye!
Oh, I wish I had a wad of cash.
I wish that every day.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Just waiting for you to be done. God.
Tipping on a cruise ship. How you do?
How do?
Jump into like everyone to make sure you're subscribed, all that bullshit, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Sliding them a little bit of your tip.
No, I didn't say that. I said you're winning.
I know. But they knew what you meant.
Oh my god. What?
I can't wait to read the comments. Who are we kidding? Nobody's going to be watching the video that late in it anyway. Oh god, my nuts are numb.